Hi, and welcome to the Jam Den. You're listening to the sounds of Tongue and Groove. This is Ted Sikora, and we are live from Commercial Recording Studios in Cleveland, Ohio. The Jam Den is your place for live music in Northeast Ohio and can be downloaded regularly to your iPod or MP3 player. You can find us at iTunes.com, thejamden.com, and myspace.com/thejamden. All right, Tongue and Groove. I am here with Ray McNiece and the rest of Tongue and Groove. Ray, why don't you go ahead and introduce the band for us?
On lead guitar, we have my nephew, Sean Kelly. Playing the trumpet back there is John Kugler. And one of the original members of the band on the bass, Nick Marino.
Very nice. And where did the name Tongue and Groove originate?
Well, it, of course, has double entendres. I mean, it is, of course, from the flooring where the wood comes together, but it's also the fact that we're doing poetry in a groove, and there's other overtones and undertones you can add on to that.
How about the location of you guys? Where do you mainly play, and where the members themselves live?
Well, we're a Cleveland band. I'm from the east side, Willoughby. Sean is originally from Willoughby, living in Tremont now. Nick lives out in Chesterland, and John lives, I don't know where John lives, but he's a Cleveland guy.
And where did you guys find each other as musicians?
On stage.
We did. Nick and I met on stage. Our first gig, we met on stage, which was at a coffee house on 185th Street. Sean I met, of course, when he was born. And I gave him his first guitar when he was 14, knowing that somewhere down the line I was going to have a band, and I wanted him to be a part of it. And I got my other nephew playing bass now, so not trying to replace you, Nick, but we got him playing bass. John I met through performances around town through young audiences, and I asked him to jump in. The trumpet was perfect for the stuff we're doing now, and he's got a great musical ear, so he's added a lot to the mix.
Great, and I do want you to explain young audiences, but let's hear a tune first. And also, though, you do have a drummer who's not able to be with us today. Is that right? Should we mention him?
Yes, we should. He would feel, hurt. I think his feelings might be hurt. Joe Simones is playing drums for us these days, and he's been a new guy in the mix too.
Okay, but yeah, today we are unplugged. And what's the name of this first tune?
This is called Love Song for Cleveland, about our hometown here. Love Song for Cleveland could easily be the blues.
All right, here it is, Tongue and Groove on the Jam Den.
Rusty guitar strings picked by worn-down, grimy ridge factory fingers. Twang out this tune, northbound train chugging from Alabama red clay days and white sheet nights. Picking up speed, lickety-split, then kicking in rockabilly freeway. Go, man, go! From them hills and hollers of West by God, rocking up Route 77 and 71, crashing beat North Collinwood, Lakeshore Boulevard back porch. My old man blowing down home summer harmonica breeze. Spitting gritty soot from the flats, washed down with fruit jar shine. Sweating bottles of POC. This love song for Cleveland could easily be those blues. That same Labor Day off breeze carries accordion squeezes, Slovenian beer barrel polka yodel through Rahar Hall. Bohunk Brooklyn Steel Mill Shadow Waltz, concertina air recalling Ackle Island. The fugue of all those tunes spreading out this evening from and western flatlands eastward to Appalachian foothills, settling over carpback burnished sunset across Lake Erie. That gloaming pierced by eerie owls, panthers once lurked through the forest city when it was still forest. Wolf howls echoing ridges above the game trail that ran just the other side of East Shore Way Hurry. Just the other side of screeching coal train rusty tracks, same song lines the Iroquois followed to Cuyahoga's swampy mouth. You can hear their campfire hunting chants. You can hear Lorenzo Carter's Under the Hill Boys, sing-song malarial flies, brandy-fueled fiddle tunes, skirling into Navi's ditties as they dug the Erie Canal at the foot of Superior Avenue. The tune merging shanty Irish rowdy dowlings rode back from Whiskey Island, siding gut string reverie for the old sod. This love song for Cleveland could easily be all those blues. Blasted by the 1950 Lake Boat freighter horn up Collision Bend way, clearing the air above swinging bridges into swirls of seagulls from slag heaps, red pellets glowing, Cleveland's pot of gold hidden under cloud of industrial revolution. 1.15 tons of stuff per year was dropped right here, 9th Street docks where Gramps stevedored, fresh off the boat from Slovenia after the First World War, unloading Masabi Range iron ore, forged into steel that built this city, this country, hell, the whole world, from safety pins to I-beams to the very hull of that freighter. Listen, the din of the Titan mills whistling shifts, silence now, smelteries not even smoldering, rollers still, dinosaur hulks groaning in the wind, collapsing into piles of rust or blowtorch cut up and sold to China. Shanghai cursed the last Union dockmen into their boilermakers. Creased, hard-working, hard-drinking faces laughing off Tremont bar surface reflecting bowling ball trophy. Golden as the sun nobody sees for months on end. This love song for Cleveland could easily be those blues. Along Euclid Avenue corridor, past bustle of post-war prosperity through May Company, Hallie's, the arcade, picking up speed and the squeal of St. Patty Day bagpipes, catching the hip-hop beat intersection of 55th Street, rapping all the way to Severance Hall, sorrowful Warsaw ghetto Kaddish violins, wending its way up Cedar Hill, where a Polish clarinetist from Parma plays Duke Ellington's single pedal from a rose in an Irish emigre jazz club. It arpeggiates down Mayfield Road to Little Italy, old paisans strumming mandolins, beautifully mournful as Virgin Mary, parading the Feast of the Assumption. That tune wafts out again from the shores of Euclid Beach Park, where my parents first met and kissed, whirling under pavilion to big band swing. I listen now as it sounds this chorus of muted steel cellos, droning the 100 shades of gray that pall all over Cleveland. So gray it's the blues. Winter's dead snow, sooty piles from Kinsman to Ohio City, Gray of aluminum shovel sitting by the front door year-round. Bleached gray a beer can crushed during some hot night porch sitting late inning Indians flop. Tossed into hedges, bare gray as the tree line on opening day. Gray stink of shad kill, Edgewater Beach. Gray of cinder block coal bins along Train Street. Gray a 55-gallon drum of rainwater on the back of a gunmetal pickup stuck with 4 flat elephant skin tires beside dull steel corrugated warehouse on Waterloo Avenue. Gray. The gray of the shoreway, melding with sky and lake, so you can't tell what time of day it is. I mean, if Picasso had a gray period, Cleveland would be it. Gray faces of tract houses from Euclid to Garfield to Lakewood, glowing by dawn's light, set and determined to get through another day. Gray of Harvey Picard's hangdog face, staring into empty file cabinet before walking from dingy bus through Cleveland Heights twilight. Gray of Daniel Thompson's Whitman-esque beard as he harangues the specter of Rockefeller's empty tomb in Lakeview. Gray of the gray-haired, mustachioed babushkas of Slavic Village. Gray of the frost on the lawns of Shaker Heights. Gray of Terminal Tower in the fog. Gray whirl of pigeons rising from Public Square, blending with evening. Gray of the summer thunderheads rolling in off the lake, giving way to a perfect blue sky summer day. Gray skyline in November, it still calls me home. To him all these penumbras, holy light where pale dawn rises over darkened city, like the ghosts of all those mill workers. The gray of the last plume from the last stack of the last plant still burning in the flats. And even though there is no sun, that flame burns on. This love song for Cleveland could easily be those blues.
Nice. Love song for Cleveland. And we loved it in the control room. I honestly had tears in my eyes at times. And next time somebody asks me, what the hell are you doing in Cleveland? I'm just going to play that track.
Yeah.
And,
you got it. It's a love song. But it is the blues. It's so gray. It is the blues. You know, we celebrate that about ourselves. I thought it was me growing up until I moved away, and then I realized it wasn't depression, it was just the weather.
Have you lived in Cleveland your whole life off and on? Or?
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, since I was 6, I've been living here, and then I moved away and hit the road. I've been traveling since 1987. I've been on the road doing my thing, so it's on 20-year anniversary.
And why do you think it is that we haven't had a sports championship in our lifetime?
Well, I'll tell you this. The Poetry Slam team, of which I was the captain back in 1994, we won the National Poetry Slam Championship.
Yeah, all right.
You don't hear, there wasn't any big parade for us down the Euclid Avenue corridor. We beat New York and Boston in the finals, so
that's fantastic.
Quite an accomplishment.
I'm sorry, what year?
That was 1994.
When we hear that, we beat New York and Boston in the finals. What was that?
You mentioned young audiences. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is and what you do?
Well, my bread and butter during the day is doing kids shows, which I've been doing for 20 years. And I go in and do poetry theater performances and add some acting, drama, comedy, music in the mix. And the kids get the idea that poetry is something fun and exciting. And then they read books themselves. You don't even have to encourage them to read. They enjoy the stuff. So imagine that.
You do this touring, yes? Or
yeah, I tour all over. I'm going to Singapore Sunday. I'm leaving to teach in the school system over there, mostly Malaysian kids. I'll be doing performance poetry, using that to teach literacy.
Oh, that sounds incredible. How did that come about?
I toured in Asia last year for about 4 months, and I did a gig at the Zouk Club, which is the best club in Singapore. In fact, that night in the next room, the model show of Singapore was happening, so I got a chance to meet all the models of Singapore. And I performed with, I put together a band, as I love to do. I love to do my poetry with music, and I had a classical Hindu violinist, a guy playing the tabla, and another guy playing the rebob, which is a Sikh instrument. So it was, I did some of the same pieces you're going to hear right now, but with a distinctively different feel.
Yeah. Well, then let's move on to the next piece. What do we call this one?
The Jazz Plays On.
All right. Well, here it is on the Jam Den, Tongue and Groove.
The Mississippi Deep keeps that bass line throbbing. That channel cattail swish, flood log thump strum, big muddy mother of us all, carrying down in her strong brown arms. Ohio River Valley hillbilly ballads, west by God to the Kentuck, carrying down Minnesota's thousand blue-eyed lake clearly yodeled fiddle tunes, carrying down from Missouri's Great Plains Basin buffalo drum shaman chants, carrying down pedal steel Tennessee twangs cross gospel golden shores, Memphis empty whiskey bottleneck silver fretted slides, that last swig washing down red dust a dust sharecropper blues, carrying down devil deals Highway 61 crossroads, Papa Legba in the shadows, carrying down Delta juke joint rusty fender cymbal crash, cotton picking fingers scratching out the boll weevil wobble, carrying down Arcadian accordion airs turned up tempo, squeeze box wheezing like a drunken gator, mosquito quick bon ton roulette reels, Spanish moss hung cypress swamps. Yeah, the Mississippi Deep carries all those American sounds and brings them back home, down to New Orleans, where the beat began. You can hear it neath the shuffling feet in the French Quarter. Yeah, I know where I got my shoes. Same swamp buckled bricks, young Satchmo bottle cap tap scrapes out his first tunes, giving a body that strut, that hip-hop roll just behind the beat. The second line lags. Somewhere along the moonwalk, a trumpet plays as the last rays of sunset hit this city below sea level with a long golden high C note, opening evening's revelry here in the Big Easy. On shady back streets, saxophones moan low mood indigo, shout sharp, mean, staggerly cutting contest, breaking into staccato laughters, knocked out loaded, trombones intoning, come on over here mama, meet me with your black drawers on, blown up by the tuba's fat backbeat blast, punctuating lower Ninth Ward roots rap. Heard all the way uptown, whiskey-soaked poetry riffs over maple leaf rags, echoing back down to Congo Square, where the American beat was born, birthed by slaves every Sunday. Beep-ba-ba-ba, beep-ba-ba-ba-ba, beep-ba-ba-ba. That jazz plays on. The whole Crescent City buoyed up, swaying side to side. Sheer weight pull of black, brown, high yellow, lily white asses dancing. Creole clarinets wailing, boiling over like red beans. Indian tambourines slap full moon funky butt shiver. Demure parlor pianis have gone boogie-woogie bad. Ladies lifting their shifts, the whole wild ball, cause it's all loud and aloud. It's all loud and aloud. There's that clarion call, trumpet arching over it all again, blowing a cornucopia of meaty chops. night squawks give way to sweet melodies, muffling down in layers muffaletto style, unto the lowdown on the down low. Pontchartrain rain hushing over shotgun shacks, tin roof vibrato huffling off sad, sexy, viperish musings. Long gone Storyville, quadrilles trickling jelly rolls, sweet ebony ivory kisses, ceiling fan metronome saying this is where sultry became body. On wrought iron balconies, skin bathed under pouring milk moon, cooled by a drowsy lingerie breeze. And this necropolis whispers, yes, yes. Wraiths walking xylophone bones home to alabaster slabs. The Mississippi deep keeps that bass line pulsing through everybody's veins. The jazz plays on, one more tune, dawning in that soft trumpet sunrise. Oh yeah, what a wonderful world. That was before Katrina. Katrina, never met a woman meaner. She blew into town, knocked all my shit down. Now I gotta deal with FEMA. And I gather my words together, string them like muddy Mardi Gras beads. Faces of New Orleans friends float by on rising waters. Lee, Bert, Kachea, Jimmy Nolan, Felice, Renee, Andy, Dave Brinks, Sean D. All their whereabouts unknown after the flood. After Hurricane W blew through his round 2, from the Gulf War to the Gulf Coast with its Force 10 devastation of bush shit. Reverend Goat said it best, New Orleans did not die of natural causes. She was murdered by a perfect storm of neglect, incompetent, cynical national mentality, every man for himself, instead of we're all in this together. I turn on the TV and the reporter beams a smile into the teeth of the storm, making a name for himself. Change the channel the day after, but the president is nowhere to be seen. On vacation, riding a mountain bike downhill as floodwaters rise. I change the channel, but the president on day 2 is twanging out a redneck song, hiding blue blood under cowboy hat, NASCAR jacket, and the floodwaters are rising. I change the channel finally, day 5. The president flies overhead Air Force One saying, may God help them. Since he sure as hell won't, though his cohorts in Cancer Alley petrochemical plants have helped themselves to thousands of acres of storm surge buffering wetlands, gorged on tax subsidies while they gouge us at the pump. And the vice president has helped his former company to cash flow diverted from rebuilding those levees into blowing up Iraq. Halliburton's coffers filling up with sand. Sand like sand in a coffin, sand that could have been used to bag the flood, and the feds blow up another $1 billion tax dollars in the desert outside Baghdad, dropping smart bombs with pinpoint accuracy in homes in Fallujah. But unable to drop a bottle of water into a child's hands in the 9th Ward, or pull an old black woman off a roof for 3 days. Change the channel, and the pundits are pondering why people aren't leaving the city. Pundits with their new SUVs, their homes on high ground, high-speed internet to warn them when the shit's going down. Pundits who pick through debris, pointing clean white fingers at poor black folks. Change the channel, video shows white folks wading chest deep in the flood, goods held high overhead, and the caption reads, Katrina survivors foraging for food. Change the channel, and the video shows black folks wading chest deep in the flood, goods held high overhead, and the caption reads, Katrina refugees looting. I change the channel and the video shows me dogs riding in an air-conditioned bus to a shelter, but does not show the African-American children on the back of a rusty pickup truck, turned away by sheriffs at the Metairie City line, wishing they weren't in Dixie anymore. And the TV televangelical proclaims the hurricane was a hand of God. Yeah, it was a hand of God, but not to smite lesbians, leather bars, and liberals, but to tear away the front page headlines that all is well with the economy, the war is almost over. But you can't hide the weather under a bush anymore. The evangelical continues to call for the end times, dollar signs in his eyes. He has seen the prophet of scaremongering, and verily his pockets have grown fat. For he has poured fear into the ears of the sheep who bleat and repeat the hate that they hear. And he has blessed the missiles that fall from heaven onto infidels, while building himself an earthly mansion of gated condos, commanding the poor to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, though they have no boots, and stand upon the rejected stones of the projects. The meek, it is ensured, will not inherit the earth of this city. The have-nots huddle in the shadow of the Superdome, wondering what will become of their homes. And the have-mores plan casino deals, as the dead gray arms of live oak trees bear witness to the Crescent City crucified. But you cannot kill a necropolis. New Orleans will rise again from the solemn second line march into cemetery of American dream deferred. Poor folks falling out in that awful heat. Falling out, but cutting up on their way back home. Through that debris of shoes, rusty cars, shattered shotgun shacks, the undefeated divas under fancy umbrellas leading the way, swaying their hips the way the Mississippi does and always will, confusing that premature death knell metronome. Because nobody down here has ever been afraid to live, and so nobody down in New Orleans is ever gonna be afraid to die. Celebrating the party of eternity, and eternity plays on just like jazz. Listen, you can hear it. The flood waters receding. The spirit of Satchmo. The spirit of Satchmo borrowing Gabriel's horn. Borrowing Gabriel's horn and wailing from the cradle of American civilization. He's playing a song. It's called A New Heaven and a New Earth. What a wonderful world. Beatin' ba ba ba. Beep ba ba bow. Beep ba ba bow. Beep ba ba bow. Wow, wow.
And the jazz plays on. A very powerful piece, Ray. It strikes me the Cleveland song was so kind of gives me that great feeling of being a Clevelander, and you get a sense that the New Orleans piece is a similar piece, but obviously quite a different end, and middle, I should say.
Yeah. But my home away from home is New Orleans, Louisiana. I lived down there for 3.5 years, and it turns out my great-great-grandfather was a Union soldier who died in Jackson Barracks, which is right across the Industrial Canal where the levee broke. And I didn't know this. I had a cousin doing family history, and I wondered why I always felt so at home when I was living down there. I used to go right down to the confluence of the Mississippi and the Industrial Channel there and write in the evening. And right across the way was Jackson Barracks, and it turns out that's where my great-great-grandfather passed away.
That's amazing, man.
Wow. I've had a lot of friends in New Orleans that actually had to permanently relocate, and it's just been heartbreaking. And it is a situation where you hear so much about. You don't hear anything about what's going on there anymore.
And there's really nothing going on. I was there in Jazz Fest, and the Ninth Ward is still pretty much deserted. I mean, they haven't really done much of anything. I think they are actually, as I said in the poem, planning to put a casino down there. They just really want to displace about 40,000 people that live in that neighborhood, and probably are never coming back. So, and that is really the heart and soul of New Orleans. That's where a lot of the musicians live. Fats Domino lived there. A lot of the musicians came from the Ninth Ward. A lot of the brass bands also came from that neighborhood. So it's a terrible tragedy for America, and I think it's something that we all need to be conscious of, that our government, really the federal government, has really failed the people of this country.
Well, your piece is really doing its part. You're doing your part, keeping that awareness out there, and we'll be putting this out there, and hopefully a lot of people tune in and get reacquainted with what really needs to be heard.
Yeah.
Let's hear another tune here. What do we got next?
Well, if you thought that was depressing,
it was uplifting at the end.
What they got? Of course, yeah. Every little sunshine came in at the end there. You bring in Satchmo. That's always good. We're going to do one, and this is very topical too. It's called "Tanks Are Rolling," and
I wonder what this could be about.
I wonder what that's about.
I have no idea.
It's about this staying the course. That's what it's about. It's about staying the course right off the cliff.
It's a surge.
It's a surge, yes.
And as I just love cheesy segues, here we're going to stay the course here on the Jam Den with "Tanks Are Rolling."
Tanks are rolling on Baghdad, speeding across miles and miles of scorched sand, devouring gallon upon gallon of overpriced oil, chasing down Saddam's American-funded army. Tanks are rolling right past mirage weapons of mass distraction, tearing across the UN Charter, the U.S. Constitution, leaving Tom Paine's common sense in the dust. Tanks flattening the watchdog pressed, corporate media stars along for the ride, racing to guard the oil ministry, while looters steal the Babylonian tablets, torch the archives of civilization. Tanks are rolling. Tanks are rolling down the same highway of death from Gulf War I, charcoal ghosts grinning from the berm. Still rolling down Highway 49, the road that stretches all the way back to Halliburton's loading dock. Stacks of shells encased in uranium wait to glow the desert sands, like the plastic Jesus stuck, riding shotgun on the contract trucker's dashboard. Tanks are rolling, rolling off assembly lines across America, down the same road in Florida where lines of blacklisted voters were turned away from the polls, rolling through Midwestern drive-through consumer burger deal, quarter-pound of steroid-laced, antibiotic-resistant meat that only cost 100 gallons of fresh water, 2 quarts of gas, 3 pounds of grain, 1 pound of topsoil that took 500 years to form as prairie, no longer there anymore, replaced with acres of corn, leaching the earth as far as the eye cannot see, buffalo once grazing sweet grass. Tanks are rolling through the feedlot muck, ignorant that human civilization depends upon 6 inches of topsoil and the fact that it rains. Tanks are rolling down the same access road, opening national parks to timber mineral plunder via a legal loophole big enough to drive a Hummer's 6,000-pound gross weight tax luxury write-off right on through. Try driving that through the eye of a needle. That same Hummer the consumer drives down the Ronald Reagan Morning in America freeway to the strip mall before the dollar store closes, so he can buy a couple of plastic flags pressed by sweatshop workers in China, where no man stands in front of a tank in Tiananmen Square anymore. So he can fly those flags from both sides of that Hummer to let the boys at the front know they're dying for 14 miles per gallon. The boys at the front scavenging junk piles, Frankensteining their Humvees that lumber down Baghdad's boulevard of improvised explosive devices. Tanks are rolling. But there's no stopping this son of God bless the USA. Hurry to get home, don't get in his way, he'll blow you away like this Desert Storm video game. He's gotta get back to his gated complex, Eagle Creek. No eagle, no creek. So he can lock himself down and watch the final episode of Survivor. Tanks are rolling, rolling. Tanks are not rolling down the road map for peace. Tanks are staying the course for more war, for our way of life, rolling towards the final carnage, Autogeddon, fought in the sand over the black blood beneath, to decide once and for all just whose God of which chosen people has the bigger, better, stronger God bomb. Yahweh's mushroom cloud engulfing the whole world. Zionist tanks are rolling, jihad tanks are rolling, evangelical tanks are all wholly rolling down that same dead end. They're rolling, rolling, rolling. Tanks are rolling. Rolling down the same road where the poets of Israel, the poets of Palestine, the poets of Lebanon, the poets of Iraq, the poets of Iran, and the poets of America are standing and waving the white flags of their poems. waving the white flags of their poems.
Wow. Again, another incredible piece.
It's on the Homeland Security top 10 list, I think. With a bullet.
Well, speaking, and you made the tambourine sound like a gun?
I was just making it up, as we say, improvisational.
We're in there going, what is making that gun sound? And I look, and Ray's like hitting a tambourine against his hand. Maybe it was just
Did it sound good?
The context. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, then let's keep it.
Yeah, definitely. And
note to self, add that into the song.
also, joining the band on the last two was Rich Maurer, our own engineer and percussionist. So
Nicely done, too.
Thanks,
by the way.
Rich.
All
Hey,
right.
man. Yeah, Rich.
Let me talk a little bit about your influences as a writer. Who inspired you growing up, and as a musician as well?
Well, I grew up listening to a lot of Tom Waits and Elvis Costello, and those are kind of, well, of course, Bob Dylan was probably the biggest influence on me early on. And then literarily, I'd say Jack Kerouac, of course, is probably one of my huge heroes because he was a working class guy that really lived out his dream, so he's a big influence.
And you had an opportunity to stay at the Jack Kerouac house?
Yeah, I had a residency down in Florida, in fact, in College Park, Florida, where he lived and wrote The Dharma Bums, which was one of my favorite novels. And actually, the back room of the house where he lived is where he wrote The Dharma Bums. So I had all kind of friends come down there and want to stay in the room where he wrote the book, and they have an old typewriter in there. It's not his typewriter, but it's one that he would have used. Mm-hmm. And there's a little Pooh Bear on the bed because at the end of On the Road, he says, "Don't you know God is Pooh Bear?" And so they had a little stuffed animal there. But I had to, people would always show up at the door wanting to come into the house, and in the spirit of Kerouac, I always gave him a glass of wine, like some Tokay, bad red wine. Wow. Sat down with him. And I had the longest distance I had was a guy from Italy came up, and he spoke broken English, and he said, Kerouac? And I said, yeah, this is Kerouac's house. And he said, oh, can I come in? And I was like, sure, come on in. So he spent the afternoon with me.
Wow. Is there a CD out of the band of Tongue and Groove?
We have two CDs. We have one called The Road That Carried Me Here. It's the title of the book. And the other one is Mouth Music, which is a live recording we did at Cleveland Public Theater. About what Nick, was it 7, 8 years, probably 10 years ago now, maybe. Yeah, 97. Yeah. Anyways, at that time we set the attendance record for Cleveland Public Theater.
Wow.
That night people were right up on stage with us. It wasn't really a room edgewise. So.
I remembered hearing about you quite a bit back then too. When I was working at a place called A to Z Audio.
Oh, yeah. They did.
I think you were doing some stuff there, but
right.
We would occasionally get some stuff for duplication, and I was like, who the heck is this guy? Ray McNiece. I mean, it's amazing stuff. And of course, I've had the pleasure of working with you on another project, but we're honored to have you here on the Jam Den. And I assume when you were in the Kerouac house, there was some inspiring moments for you.
Yeah, in fact, I wrote a poem. That's not what we're going to do next, but I wrote a poem called Letter Left on the Porch of the Kerouac House, which the first night I was there, I had a real profound experience where actually Sean helped me out on this one. He got me a book called Some of the Dharma, which is Kerouac's journals, Buddhist journals. And I opened it up to, just randomly, I do like divination kind of stuff like that occasionally. I opened it up to a passage that said, avoid fame. If you seek fame, they will hound you to your death. And which is exactly what happened to Kerouac. He got famous there. He was living there when On the Road was finally published. Okay. And he went from being an obscure writer to a famous drunk almost overnight. Oh. So that's kind of what this is about. And also with that letter was actually a voice of Kerouac came kind of through me. I channeled Kerouac there for a minute, and I wrote this letter about his own Buddhist musings and my own kind of merged together in this letter from the beyond.
Okay, so the name of the piece we're about to hear now is?
Walking with the Ghost of Jack Kerouac.
All right, and again, one more thing. Any website for you guys?
Yeah, actually, the website for me is Ray McNiece, like McNephew, www.rayMcNiece.com. But I just got a MySpace page, so you'll see Ray McNiece and Tongue and Groove. You can look that up.
All right, Ray. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks to the band. And also, big thank you to Commercial Recording Studios and our engineer, Richard Maurer. I'm Ted Sikora, and you've been listening to The Jam Den. You can download The Jam Den regularly for your iPod or MP3 player at iTunes.com, jamden.com, or myspace.com/thejamden. And we're going to close out the show today with Tongue and Groove performing Walking with the Ghost of Jack Kerouac.
In the corner of Shady Lane in Clausen sits the house where Kerouac was living. When On the Road was published to universal acclaim, and overnight he was proclaimed King of the Beats, a title he never wanted, a title he came to reject. I walk with the ghost of Jack Kerouac through after-midnight streets of College Park. America stays transfixed inside, where everyone can hide their suicides in the blue flame of samsara, while Jack recites his Beat Sutra. Whither goest thou, America, in thy shiny car, in the night, in your mad pursuit of happiness? Did you lose true freedom's sight? The 1950 Cold War heart of America, mushroom clouds bloomed the western deserts. Senators scratched out red list names of everyone who did not think the same. The Russians launched Sputnik into space, and Jack Kerouac walks towards inner peace. He walks past barking guard dogs forgiven, walks past neatly fenced-in lawns, walks beyond any kind of beatnik fame, refusing to play celebrities' game. He walks past bigger and better cars, howling off in the night to God knows where. Whither goest thou, America, in thy shiny car, in the night, in your mad pursuit of happiness? Did you lose true freedom's sight? Who can know the world as it goes? Who can hear the full moon's horn blow? Who will heed the call and ride the rails of boxcars echoing Orange Blossom Trail? Oh, who will simply sit still and vision this world brimming with heaven? I walk with the ghost of Jack Kerouac through after-midnight streets of College Park. America stays transfixed inside, where everyone can hide their suicides in that blue flame of samsara, while Jack recites his Beat Sutras. Whither goest thou, America, in thy shiny car, in the night, in your mad pursuit of happiness? Did you lose true freedom's sight? Did you lose? What did you lose? Did you lose true freedom's sight?